Hello, my name is Sue Kinoshita. I'm the Director of Trade and Investment at the British Embassy in Tokyo. Welcome to this Export to Japan podcast. I'm indebted for this particular story to the wonderfully named and wonderfully enthusiastic Professor Timon Screech, who is a Professor of the History of Art at the University of London's School of Oriental and African Studies. Professor Screech has been researching the very first trading voyage from the UK to Japan, which arrived in Nagasaki Prefecture 400 years ago in June 2013. And I've often wondered if history really holds any lessons for us today, but this story demonstrates that it very clearly does. It turns out that the trading expedition, which was led by someone called John Sarris, was based on three really quite fundamental errors, and all of them are pitfalls that could still trip up the unwary today. Back then, the Far East was still pretty much unknown territory, and there were no reliable maps, just some very sketchy representations courtesy of the Portuguese and Dutch traders who'd already found their way to Japan. And sketchy really is the operative word. Japan was shown as being roughly the size of India, so 8 or 9 times its actual size. No wonder the British were keen to start trading. That's one significant market. The map was misleading in another way. It had Japan lying much further north than it is in reality. Most of Britain's trading partners at the time were in southern Europe, the Middle East, Africa, India, Southeast Asia. Common link there is that those are all rather hot countries, and that was a problem because Britain's main export commodity at the time was wool. So the idea of a large northerly market whose citizens must surely be waiting, shivering for some nice warm woolen cloth, was very tempting. Sadly though, the temperature when John Sarris landed in Nagasaki would probably have been about 23 degrees, and it would have climbed steadily over the ensuing months. So as he sweated his way through the humidity of a Japanese summer, he probably realised pretty soon that he might find it hard to shift all the bales of wool that he'd schlepped across the seas for the past 2 years. So that was mistake number 2. Mistake number 3 could also have been avoided if only they'd had the benefit of Google Maps. The East India Company, who were in the vanguard of developing these new eastern markets, had reckoned on there being a northerly sea route into Japan. They got it all nicely mapped out. Their ships would leave England, laden with wool and cloth, just pop over the top of Russia into Japan, sell all their cargo, and then continue south into Southeast Asia, where they could use their earnings to buy up the spices that were in such demand back in Britain, and reload the ships for their journey home. Great plan. Except that the northerly route was icebound all year round, although as it happens, global warming may eventually change that. Anyway, you've got to admire the determination and the pioneering spirit of these early traders, and thank them for providing a nice handy checklist of what to do if you're thinking of exporting to a new market. Number 1, check the size of the market. Number 2, check whether your product is likely to meet local needs. And number 3, figure out the logistics of getting your product there. The UKTI team in Japan can help you with all of these things. If only we'd existed 400 years ago, we could have saved John Sarris a whole lot of trouble. The voyage did have its bright spots though. The telescope that John Sarris brought with him as a gift from King James I to the shogun, Tokugawa Ieyasu, ensured that from the very early days of our contact with Japan, Britain had a reputation for developing the latest technology. And in the other direction, the lacquerware and folding screens that they took back with them to London appeared at the first ever art auctions to be staged in London, the start of a business for which the UK remains renowned to this day. There are all sorts of events taking place around the UK this year to mark the 400th anniversary of UK-Japan trading relations. You can find out more details at the Japan 400 website. And if you'd like to follow in the footsteps of John Sarris, perhaps with rather more success, do get in touch with us on export to Japan at fco.gov.uk. We look forward to hearing from you.